Hello everybody and welcome back to FFX. I awkwardly paused it after the cutscene at the end of the last episode, and yes, finally we have reached some people who seem somewhat friendly. I described at the end of the last episode how the narrative really becomes a lot more structured and solid from this point forward, and hopefully that will become clear to you guys soon enough. To me, the beginning really of FFX is here. Like, before that it's just a bunch of preamble. Anyway, one hidden thing that I'd like to point out really quickly is when you spawn out here in the water, obviously the game wants you to go and speak to those characters, but if you hug the right wall, you'll find this hidden cove here with a chest in it. You can open this chest up and you'll get something called a moon crest. The moon crest is a key item, just as I was talking about key items yesterday, right here, as you can see. A celestial token, it reads, oh, did not mean to do any of that. A celestial token fashioned in the shape of the moon. What this does is really complicated, but it's to do with some of the most powerful weapons in the entire game. Really, to even begin describing it would be pointless right now, so just know that it's there. Be happy that we've picked it up, and let's move on. So, we get this very happy music, people who speak our language, seem friendly at the very least, and who actually know Blitzball too. Let's go have a chat with them, shall we?
Yo. Hiya.
You wanna try that move one more time?
Finally. Things were starting to look up.
That's such a weird shot. It's like he somehow stopped it from bouncing with his mind.
You know, amateur. Who you play for?
The Xanarkin Abes.
Didn't Riku tell you
What team you say again?
to not say you were from Sonic?
I meant, forget that. I got too close to Sin, and my head's all foggy like. So, I don't know where this place is, or even where I came from.
Sin's toxin got to you, but you're still alive. Praise be to Yevon. All right, back to practice. I'm Wakka, coach and captain of the Besaid Aurochs, brother. What, you hungry? Okay, back to the village. I'll get you something.
Oh, Wakka, he's so nice. Coach and captain of the Besaid Aurochs. So these guys are a Blitzball team. They're not very good. Like, you can see this guy over here, I believe he's called Jasu. Messing up wonderfully. He's trying what we just did, which I love so much. So here's Jasu, who says, "That shot was spectacular, brother. Wish I could shoot like that." You can speak to them multiple times. They have lots of different dialogue. Captain Wakka's waiting for you. Better get going, yeah? There's fiends on the road, yeah? Use this if you get in trouble. He gave us 3 potions. Very nice of him. He tells us it was spectacular. Again, this guy over here is called Datto. I gotta stop closing my eyes when the ball comes down. Yes, because you keep missing it. You being a Blitzball player is probably what saved you out there. The best players, they can hold their breath like forever. So this is pretty cool. This is one of those things. I really like stories where there's some unexplained quirk about something. And for Final Fantasy X, that quirk would certainly be human capabilities to hold their breath underwater. Just for whatever reason in this franchise, you can hold your breath a lot if you train, and that's the idea of Blitzball. It's a sport played underwater. They are not assisted by machines or anything to breathe. They are just good players. Later on in the game, you actually get to play Blitzball, and one of the mechanics, though it's not very strong, one of the mechanics is the idea of people holding their breath, and that's like their health, but we'll get to that. Anyway, Datto says he wishes he could do that, and maybe he's right. Maybe this is how we survived, once again, Sin. Like, every time Sin's been near us, we've been out in the water, right? And we just woke up, so, yeah, out in the ocean. This guy here is Letty. He says, I can head the ball pretty good. Today's just a bad day, yeah? Sure. This is really weird, yeah? I could do it 5 times in a row yesterday. Sure you could. I'm nowhere near Captain Wakka, but I can hold my own underwater, yeah? It's just that I'm not so good with the ball. Sure, no worries. It's true that even the best players can sleep underwater? Man, that's like superhuman, you know? Absolutely it is. So I believe he might be a defender in the game. We'll learn a lot about the game. I got a lot to talk to you guys about it. I think he could be a defender because he's like bad with the ball, but he's good at attacking people basically. Dato says we had an underwater race once, yeah, to see how long we could go. 2 laps and we were out, but Captain Wakka went 5, no sweat. Sure, give me items. He says that toxin's nasty stuff, yeah. You should go rest up. What am I saying? Take this, it might help. Yay! So he gives us a high potion. Thank you, Dato. That's all I ever really wanted. This guy over here is called Botta. He says, I really want to make Captain Wakka proud at this year's tournament. Sure. Come practice with us once the toxin wears off, okay? Hope you get better soon, brother. Obtain 2 potions. So, a tournament. Some tournaments going on. That's going to dominate a reasonable chunk of the story here. And this guy is their goalie. He's called Keeper. He says, hey, I admit it. We're not the best blitzers in Spira. He says, to do our best. That's our motto. Guess it's not enough, though. Here, take this and do your best, yeah? We'll get 200 gil. Keeper's kind of funny. All of these characters here, he says, we're always top dogs for the first few minutes of the game, yeah? Then we start to run out of breath. That's when they get us. But Captain Wakka, man, he don't stop. No half-time breath for him, yeah? He just keeps going. Sure. Keeper's really cool because he is a goalie for most of the game. But if you play lots and lots and lots of blitzball, suddenly he becomes like this insane shooter at the end of the game. It's really quite amusing to see it happen. But yeah. So anyway, there's a lot more we can explore of the beach. In fact, there's a chest over here on the left. Really, we don't need to rush our way to acquiring this chest just now. But I'm going to do it anyway, just because, hey, it's sort of the completionist mentality. The dock, there is literally nothing for us to do over on there. Instead, let's just go and try and find Wakka and follow him to the village, because I guess we're hungry. We're hungry quite a lot, but I don't know whether I can blame us for being hungry. God knows how much time has passed since we got separated from the Albed on that salvage ship.
I felt like I could trust this Wakka, so I just had to ask. It's true Xanarkand was destroyed, right? 1,000 years ago? So it's just a big pile of rubble now, isn't it?
Long time ago, there were a whole lot of cities in Spira. Big cities with machina, machines to run them. People played all day and let the machina do the work. And then, well, take a look. Sin came and destroyed the machina cities. And Xanarkand along with them. Yeah, that was about 1,000 years ago. Just like you said. If you ask me, sin's our punishment for letting things get out of hand. What gets me, though, is we gotta suffer because of what some goofballs did way back when. Of course, we must always repent for our sins. That's important. It's just that it's hard to keep at it sometimes, you know?
It was just as Riku said. Wakka and Riku couldn't both be lying. Why would they?
But you from the Xanarkand Daves, that was a good one, huh? Hey, I'm not saying that team never existed, yeah? But you gotta figure, a team living in luxury like that be pretty soft, eh?
I appreciated the fact that Wakka was trying to cheer me up. But at that time, all I could think about was everything that happened to me. All this started with Sin. Maybe if I could find Sin one more time, I could go home. For now, I just live life until that time came. No more worrying about where or when I was. Sure, it was hard not to think of home, but I started to feel better already. A little better. Maybe.
I really like what they do there with his thoughts, because they sort of have to deal with the fact this character may not be able to go home, and that's gonna... They're going to dive into that a reasonable amount here. I just like the dialogue where he says, oh no, it's fine, I appreciate that, I won't be able to go home. And then yet he second guesses himself, says, maybe. Anyway, so a weird thing about the beach right now is that they changed the camera angle. This actually doesn't happen this much in the game. Usually you're on a fixed camera angle. I don't get to control the camera at all myself. But at this one moment, you can actually walk around the beach with a different camera behind you. And again, that will happen a little bit later on in the story. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. It gives you some alternate views of the scenery. And to me, particularly when I was younger and I'd spent so long in this game, you'd get to like the point of end game, right? Where you're at the point of no return. You've basically done the story and you're doing the side stuff. And that takes so many hours of your life. You end up getting really used to what most of the world looks like just from these same fixed camera angles. And it's always a pleasure to have a different camera angle. Just the novelty of it from replaying the game. Anyway, Wakka came down this way. We can leave the beach. There's still nothing there for us. And he's going to lead us.
Hey, it's this way.
He's going to lead us over there on the right. Now, far later in the game, you can see on the map, it actually looks like we should be able to walk off on the left here. Later on, we will be able to do that. For now, we're being rerouted to the right. This giant ruin here, there's going to be lots of ruins. It's one of the reasons I love the setting so much of this game. This ruin, it turns out, in the sequel to this game, Final Fantasy X-2, that actually becomes a dungeon, interestingly enough. But not in this game. We're just going to head on through. Music in the background is the theme of Besaid Island. This was one of the tracks that was changed for the HD remaster. I think it's been done really, really well, personally, but others, I don't know, you can let nostalgia cloud your mind quite a lot, so just be aware of that. There's also, actually, never mind, I won't talk about that just yet. Here we go, let's speak to Wakka.
Huh?
You can see it coming. See, the weird thing is, like, you wouldn't know to trust him.
What's the big idea?
He could have been like a villain. He could have been really, you know, trying to hurt us there. But no, he's just a cool guy. Wakka is a straight up cool guy. Man, there's so much I want to talk to you guys about, but I can't jump the gun about stuff that happens in the future. Anyway, he's a cool guy. You'll see he's actually now joined our party. So not only can we look at our abilities, of which we still have none, but Wakka's got some as well. Apparently he's got an attack called Dark Attack. We'll find out about that later. We could even look at his sphere grid, stuff like that. For now, he's joined us. There are 3 hidden chests in this particular area. This one here has a phoenix down. And the waters that we're swimming through at the moment actually will never be seen again in the story. It's sort of a one-time thing. Once you've seen them the first time and done this bit of the plot, you can never return here. So again, a bit like what I was talking about with the different camera angles there earlier. Now this is another place that you really kind of want to soak in and enjoy while you get to be here the first time. Again, it's just the novelty of it. Not that there's anything even that cool here. It's just one of those things, you know. Also, now that we don't have Riku with us, or question mark, as she was originally known, we can no longer steal from enemies. Like, different characters have got different abilities. Mostly, whatever your stats and abilities are determined by the sphere grid, which I skipped over the other day. Don't worry about it, we will look at it. But in general, different characters can do different things. And so now that Riku's gone, none of those grenades. You remember in the previous episode I was saying, oh, you could steal a bunch of grenades if you wanted. But there's no point, and that's because Riku's left our party now. Like, God knows where Riku even is, so we don't have anyone who knows how to throw grenades. What would be the point in it? So anyway, here's a skill, right? Dark Attack. It costs us 5 MP. You can see Wakka only has 10 MP to his whole name, so we can only cast this twice. But whatever, we'll try it out. And you'll find that because our attacks are one-shotting mobs right now anyway, there's really no need to use that. Those did survive, funnily enough, and they hit us, funnily enough. What Dark Attack does is it blinds the enemy. Can you see how there's like a black smoke cloud over these guys' head now? It means that whenever they attack, in theory, they should start missing. Funnily enough, they didn't there, though. Maybe it's just a quirk of their kind of attack patterns. Regardless, we'll just deal with them as quickly as possible and move on. Again, this is like a random encounter style area, but I really wouldn't recommend you try and grind here or anything like that. It really would be very pointless unless you just really, really enjoy these pools and don't want to leave them too quickly. And just let's swim north towards the red arrow. I guess I can take this opportunity as well to describe some other things to you guys. What we're currently playing is the HD remake of Final Fantasy X, which released in 2001 actually for America, right? Well, what I didn't tell you was that after the Japanese released this game in the States, they re-released it for themselves under a version that they called International. So there was a Final Fantasy X International version that the Japanese released to themselves, and from the Japanese player's perspective, it was a way of rebuying the game and you'd get to hear like all the English voice acting and stuff, which was different and I'm sure a novelty to them. But also when they re-released it in Japan, they added a bunch of new features to the game, okay? They added new abilities to the game, they added new sphere grids, which is what we chose at the very beginning. They did a lot of balance passes, and they added a bunch of super bosses to the end of the game too. And a bunch of other things, which I'll talk about as they come through. So, when it came to the HD remake for 2014, they didn't just remake the original American version, they remade the Japanese international version. So that means that now there's a bunch of new content in this version of Final Fantasy X Americans never would have initially seen. So, yeah.
Let me go!
Got a favor to ask you.
You want me on your team, right?
He's so aggressive, but he's just boisterous and having fun, you know?
A major blitz tournament's coming up. All the teams in Spira will be there. It's so huge, I'm sure someone there will recognize you. Then you can go back to your old team, right? It'll be fun. What do you say, huh? Come on, come on!
Sure thing.
Dude, our team is gonna rock, eh?
I like how he says, sure, I'll do it, but he doesn't really seem confident that...
I thought then that Blitzball and Sin were the only two things that Spira and Xanarkand had in common. I wasn't too far off either.
Yeah, it is true. Like, a lot of the only things Titus can ever appreciate of this world, Spira, that he has no understanding of, is Blitzball.
This is where I was born. I started Blitz when I was 5. I joined the Aurochs at 13, 10 years ago. 10 years, and we never won a game. Well, after last year's tournament, I quit. Time seemed right.
See, what's weird, right, is for me to be playing this now. Wakka's my age, and yet when I played it as a young teen, I saw him as such an adult. But he's my age now. I'm actually older than some of the characters.
So, after quitting, I got this new job, yeah? But every time my mind wandered, I thought about the game.
10 years without a single win will do that.
My first match last year was my big chance. But something else was on my mind. I couldn't focus.
Nice excuse.
Hey, hey!
So, you want to win the next tournament? Go out with a bang. So, what's our goal?
I don't care how we do. As long as we play our best. If we give it our all, I can walk away happy.
No. If I say, what's our goal? You say, victory! When you play in a blitzball tournament, you play to win.
Victory? You're serious?
Now, Wakka just a second ago said that his mind wandered. That's actually something you guys might do well to remember. He'll explain what his mind wandered on a while down the line. Anyway, he's actually following us. I wish the Final Fantasy X would do this more often. The engine is capable of having characters follow you. I feel like the first person in your party should just always be following you. How cool would that be? Unfortunately, they don't do that all the time, and often you'll see Titus is wandering around, and he is simply representing the whole party. The game's really funny the way it does that, though. In the early stages, it has people physically following you around, and it weans you onto that idea. Anyway, instead of going to the village, there is like a little extra cutscene you can see by going back the way you came. Now, where we originally walked from, which was this passageway here, with the water, Titus says, maybe we shouldn't go that way, and he doesn't let you. So that area is now, we'll never see it again. That's impossible to go back to. There is a new walkway we can go along down there. That is the old road. Don't worry about it. We'll check that out at some point later. Save spheres, though, and this statue, which we can interact with to get cutscenes.
It's an ancient custom. People leaving the island pray here for a safe trip. They say it works pretty good.
So yeah, and there will be another small cutscene here later, where if you didn't interact with us early, you'd get that dialogue later anyway, so whatever. Alright, we'll head on down, and we'll go visit the village. Titus seems starved, so we'll see what happens.
Ah, the one from the sea.
Be on guard. There are fiends on the road today.
After surviving your run-in with Sin, it would be a shame if something happened now.
Who are they?
Luzu and Gata, Crusaders.
Huh? Crews of what?
What, you forgot that too? Hey, sorry. Don't worry about it. I'll help you out.
Cool. In return, come tournament time, I'll make sure we take the cup.
Cool. About the Crusaders, you can ask them yourself. They got a lodge in a village.
See, Titus's story is a little bit of a cop-out, honestly, because he's forgotten everything, and so most characters are like, wow, how could you forget this? How could you forget this? But it's a really convenient way for them to basically say, here, this is how the world works. These are all the different people who live here. This is what Sin is. This is what Yevon is, and so on. So it's maybe a little bit cliche. You do see that kind of thing a lot, but I don't mind at all. I think it's done very well.
Besaid village.
They got any food there?
We'll get you something over there later. Take a look around first. Let's see. The Crusader's Lodge is over yonder. Luzu and Kata are usually there. All right. Over here.
Huh? What's up?
You do remember the prayer, right?
Do we remember the prayer? I don't know, man. We don't know any prayers, do we?
Of course I'd never prayed before in my life. Not that he would know that.
You must have forgot or something. Here, I'll show you.
I'm going to pause it there. So that should tell you one thing straight away. The people of Zanarkand are not religious people. Do you remember before when Riku said, oh, Zanarkand is a holy place? And he's like, what are you talking about, holy place? It really sounds like Zanarkand was maybe how you'd imagine any large city in the current real world to be. You know, not a particularly pious place, and maybe something that those who are pious would even sneer on. But for some reason, it's revered here.
Go ahead, you try.
So we saw this symbol earlier. We saw them all cast it on the... Well, cast. We saw them all do it on the beach. His Titus's, like, kind of crappy version of it. I think the mocap in places like that are really good, because it looks so lacking confidence.
Not bad.
It's just a lot of the other animations can fall short.
Okay, now, go present yourself to the Temple Summoner.
Any blitzball player would know that prayer. It was the blitzball sign for victory.
Interesting. So in Zanarkand, they had a sign for victory with Blitzball that somehow over 1,000 years became a prayer. This dude you just saw walk over to the entrance is blocking our passage now. He says, fiends are around even during the day. Take care not to travel alone. So he's not going to let us leave, which kind of sucks. He says, you know it's too dangerous. Sorry, but you can't pass. So we're stuck in the village for now. That's totally fine, though. We've got a chest here with a phoenix down. Whether that belongs to anyone or not, I'm really not sure. There's a bunch of huts here. You can see up on the map on the top left that's showing that there's many different areas we can travel to. There's also a lot of NPCs walking around. So there's a dog here, who I'll talk to you guys more about by the end of the episode for sure. And a little girl here who says, you're the talk of the town, you know? Word travels fast in a village this size. Yeah, the weird dude wearing strange clothes, very different to what everyone else is wearing, that washed up in the sea. Very interesting. Over here in the village is a sort of hidden little area with a guy who's looking at a destroyed house. And he says, Sin struck Besaid village so many times I've lost count. After this house got hit, I guess the owner just let it be. So Sin is attacking people with incredible regularity, enough to destroy all the wonderful mechanized cities of the past. And even these small villages are being damaged constantly. Which sort of sucks. The previous owner has left, but apparently they left us a bunch of chests. 2 potions, 400 gil, and a high potion. So I always feel kind of weird opening those in front of that dude. But he just stands there forever. I feel like he doesn't move until you actually start to open the chests. Another villager here who says, on a hot day like today, it's best to be in the shade, yeah? You know, even though these people are under the threat of being attacked and stuff, it seems like sort of like an island paradise, doesn't it, really? Anyway, let's have a look in some of these houses, shall we? The first one on the left is the shop, as far as I can remember. Yep, so here's that girl with her dog again. She says, I hope the Aurochs don't lose their first match again. I'd like to see them at least tie a game one of these years. Yeah, these guys really suck. So these NPCs will actually walk in and out of these huts, and they're fully persistent. So you see this little kid just walked in, even though we're technically on a different map right now, that kid is now no longer out in the village. And when this kid walks out of the door, if we follow him, we'll see he leaves around the same time as we do. It's actually pretty cool. Who are you, mister? Where are you from? And it's funny because it's a mechanic and a sort of coding that they've put in the game that you never see in action anywhere else in the entire game, as far as I'm aware. which is sort of a shame since it seems kind of complicated. Anyway, here's the shop. She says, welcome. You can buy items. She only sells potions, phoenix downs, and antidotes. I guess we can buy an antidote if we want 50 gil. We've got over 1,000 at this point, so that's fine. So we'll just pick one up. Now, an antidote cures poison. Nothing is going to be poisoning us for a little while anyway, so don't worry. But hey, a little bit of safety for that. Guy walks in the shop, says, seafaring is hard work. Got to kick back sometimes, get some R&R, yeah? So he seems pretty cool. Maybe he's a Blitzball player as well. I don't know. I recognize him. Some of the NPCs in the game are like reused. Like they're not all unique models. Obviously, all the main characters are, but you'll see like a reused guy every now and then. It's not a big deal. All right, another kid over here. He says, I can't figure out when I'm going to join the Aurochs, the Blitzball team, or the Crusaders, who we don't really know anything about, but we have met 2 of them. That would be Luzu and Gata. This old lady's got some lore for us. She says, me favourites Lord Holland, ya, spitting image of me old hubby. What? What does that mean? I don't understand. She won't tell us anything extra just for now, but soon we should be able to ask her, or is it you? Do you have the lore for us? He said, oh yeah, here we go. So he says, I heard that Sin's toxin got to you, took your memory, eh? I'd be happy to teach you anything you've forgotten, Sonny. So little extra bits of information if you actually start speaking to the NPCs, and we sort of do need some explanation here. What is Sin exactly? What do you people know about Sin? And he says, how could you forget Sin? I can't say I don't envy you, though. There's many who would give anything to forget the pain Sin has brought. Sin appeared 1,000 years ago, a raging demon intent on reducing Spira to rubble. Everyone in Spira lives under Sin's black shadow. But to forget Sin, well, I'd consider yourself lucky, eh? Kind of interesting timescales there. He said Sin appeared 1,000 years ago. That was around the same time Xanakon was supposedly destroyed, right? Curious. The next one says, what's toxin? The foul vapors that boil from Sin's hide are evil indeed. One breath and it will taint the very core of your body. People who get too close to Sin forget even the most important things. Just like you, eh? I guess, just like us? What's Yevon? We've heard that word a few times. How wretched you must be to have forgotten the teachings of Yevon. The teachings are the only salvation for those who suffer because of Sin. I'm sure you followed the teachings before the toxin got to you, of course. Go, pray at the temple, and all will return in time. So Yevon is, I'll give you guys a little bit more elaboration here, that doesn't spoil anything. Yevon is like the religion of this world, and beyond that, actually, they are the people who run Yevon are also the people in control of this world's governments and peoples. So, you know, they are those who are in power, the people of Yevon. What's Xanakon? What do you think of Xanakon? Xanakon was once a great city in the far north of this land. Now it lies in ruins, destroyed by Sin 1,000 years ago. Such was its punishment for relying too much on Machina. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. Sin appeared 1,000 years ago, destroyed Xanakon when it appears, presumably with many other places like the ruins we saw in Besaid Beach earlier. So there you go. Something else you'd like to know? No thanks, Gramps. We've got it all. So we shall see how much of that can be verified, maybe even at the temple. So this place over here, this is just like a little extra place we can go to. I believe these are the fishers in here. She says, odd clothes you've got on. What land are you from? This your first time to Besaid? Sure, thanks. We don't get too many strangers here. I remember every visitor we get. Sure, okay, that's fine. And you over here, you say, you're the guy from the sea, right? I heard about you from Sir Luzu. Sir Luzu. Interesting, that was one of the Crusader guys. Nothing else to do in here for now. Or I think ever. Is there ever any reason to go in the house? Maybe some reason later on. Okay, and the next house up, that would be this one over here. I'm deliberately leaving the Crusader's Lodge for last here. Oh, so this is Wakka's house. Hey Wakka, how you doing?
Go present yourself to the temple summoner before we eat, yeah?
He's making me do all this stuff and I just want a meal.
A little praying might do your memory some good.
Sure. So, we want to go speak to the Crusaders and he wants us to go to the temple.
A little praying might do
In fact, a lot of people in the village seem to want us to go to the temple. We can say, maybe praying will do us some good. But what use is praying when it's just basically what we know as a sign for victory? Just a sporting thing? You know, it'd be like if your house got destroyed, you went to some totally different place, and everyone was doing like the metal sign, and that was like their way of praying. And you're like, wait, we just did that at concerts, what? You know, it'd be kind of weird. This guy says, long as I'm around, Besaid's weaving will be known as nothing but the best. So these guys actually weave and create a lot of the clothes in Besaid. There's another person who usually joins him and sits down. The funny thing is, if you look very closely, you can actually see, because he's sat there doing this animation, the silk on the machine is also moving, and vice versa for when his friend sits there too. Someone came to visit him here. The Besaid fabrics they make here are famous all over Spira. If I buy cheap and sell high, I'll be rolling in gil in no time. Bit of an entrepreneur there. Was that the third along? I believe it was. So those are the houses on the right. It's a very quaint, small village. I get from the dialogue that it sort of makes it seem like it's bigger than it really is. And, you know, that's just game design, right? So, alright, so this is the Crusaders Lodge. Let's see what we can learn about these guys. Probably just berate us about having forgotten a lot of stuff, right? Sin's toxin. So there's a woman over here at the back. She says, the Crusaders Lodge is open to guests. Would you like to take a rest? We're actually not going to nap. There's something in this room here, okay? And this is a machine that will teach you about the game. There's actually some weird spoilerish stuff here. If you go to basic controls, basic terms, tutorials, you can see information about like characters who haven't joined your party yet and stuff like that. It's kind of funny. We'll ignore it for now. You can see vaguely in the background in that water there too, funnily enough, the symbol for Yevon again. I'll talk to you guys more about that soon. Anyway, here's Luzu and Gata. Let's see what they have to say, right?
Hey, you! You were attacked by Sin, right? Recently, was it?
I think so.
So, Sin can't be far, right? You're not hiding anything, are you?
Why would I?
If Sin's nearby, it'll attack the island for sure. But it hasn't. I wonder why.
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything. To tell the truth, I don't even know what the Crusaders are.
You're kidding, right?
Sin, the toxin. Gotta tell him who we are.
Yes, sir. The Crusaders are sworn to battle Sin. We have chapters throughout Spira, accepting all who wish to join our struggle. The hero Mihen formed the Crusaders 800 years ago as the Crimson Blades. Later, our ranks grew and we called ourselves the Crusaders. We've been fighting Sin ever since.
What? You've been fighting 800 years and you still haven't beat it?
Well, we've steered Sin away from towns many times. And that's all we can do. Nobody's ever been able to defeat it. Our mission as Crusaders is to protect the temples, towns, villages, and people of Spira.
So, then whose job is it to defeat Sin?
Is Sin's toxin really this bad, sir?
It does seem rather bad. We could just tell you, but I think it better for you to try and remember. Go pray at the temple. Perhaps Yevon will help you regain your memory.
Great, more people telling us to go to the temple. Gee, thanks so much. It's kind of funny as well that he's so upfront about the fact, hey, you guys failed to beat Sin for 800 years. My first thought as well, I will just throw out there, would be that the game is setting up somehow we're going to join the Crusaders at some point. It seems like the likely thing. But you guys might be surprised.
Soon, we may be able to finally defeat Sin. We've got a plan, one that'll go down in Crusader history.
Interesting, they've got a plan. What kind of plan?
But soon...
Well, he won't tell us. He's just looping his dialogue.
We've been excommunicated from Yevon. We must go, now. Everything is riding on our last battle.
Now that could be very easy to brush off. These guys have been excommunicated from Yevon, right? I don't know whether you guys sunk it in just a second ago, but when they were formed, they were brought into Yevon, and they've been excommunicated very recently. That's actually a big part of the plot that this game sort of brushes over quite quickly. They are no longer, like, sanctioned by any of Yevon or the people who rule this world. It's very interesting. Anyway, there's this priestess here. She says, I appreciate the Crusader zeal, but they must heed the teachings. What do you mean they must heed the teachings? So it would seem that they're not heeding the teachings anymore, and that's why they were excommunicated. This guy says, I had a run-in with Sin's toxin before too, you know? I'm a lot better now, but things were pretty bad for a while. I couldn't remember who I was or where I came from. Scary, yeah? Man, I nearly cried, and that's the truth. I mean, what a crazy thought. Like, was everything we saw at the start of this game, it was all kind of weird, right? It was all kind of messed up. What if none of that was real? You know, what if we really did just get close to Sin? We're from somewhere here on Spira, this world, and you know, that's just some weird fever dream we had. A lot of it did seem like a fever dream, let's be honest. But yeah, at least before we met Riku. So that's the Crusaders Lodge. Everyone wants us to go to the temple. Let's go check it out, shall we? That's the big grand building up at the top here. where many people are walking in and out of. Funny enough, in Besaid, we already spoke to you, there's a load of areas you can walk to, and there's no real point to them. So there's some kids here right now. These guys leave at some point. Oh, that's the kid who said he doesn't know who he wants to join. He says, "Who are you, mister? Where are you from?" Sure, it's rude to ask questions. But like over here, for example, I'm going to show you guys this, even though it's totally pointless, because look how far over here you can walk. There's no reason at all. There's nothing in this tower. There's no hidden chests. And there's very little to do in Besaid, really, in the ground scope of the game. But, you know, they, for some reason, coded all this stuff in. It just makes me wonder. Weird stuff like that always makes me wonder. What was the original plan? What was the dev that did it? And it's particularly weird for this franchise because they were Japanese developers, and I don't know whether, you know, when there's weird oddities, whether it's just like a cultural thing or something that was lost through design or whatever. Anyway, so right there in the doorway, that symbol again. And a really haunting song.
It was then, standing in that place. I began to realize how different this world was from my own.
So yeah, really, really weird. The atmosphere in here is completely different. Let's speak to these guys. He says, the village was attacked by sin when I was just a little kid, yeah? The village was burned to ashes. I still have nightmares of that day. Over here. Don't bother people when they're praying. It's against the teachings, okay?
Ten years have passed since Lord Braska became High Summoner. And finally, we receive a statue for our temple.
Oh, what's a High Summoner? I got too close to Sin's, toxin. It was funny hearing myself make the same excuse over and over. Funny, and a little sad.
The Summoners are practitioners of a sacred art, sworn to protect the people of Yevon. Only a chosen few become Summoners, who call forth entities of great power, the Aeons. The Aeons hear our prayers and come down to us. They are the blessing of Yevon.
So what he meant was that we should respect some kind of great men or something like that, I figured.